Every farm has tractors. Hi, it's Janet from my Barnyard View, and today I'm going to tell you all about Grandpappy's friend, the Rusty Trusty Tractor. And when we're done, there's going to be a video of one of our tractors. The Rusty Trusty Tractor, written by Joy Cowley. When Mr. Hill saw Grandpappy's tractor, he laughed fit to bust his britches. "Woo-hoo!" he cried, slapping his knees. "You call that a tractor?" Micah looked up at Grandpappy to see what he was thinking, but Grandpappy was not letting on. Mr. Hill ding-donged with his knuckles on the rusty engine cover and the spaghetti can that hung over the exhaust pipe. He kicked the old cracked tires. "This won't last another season," he said. "Do yourself a favor, sir. Come on down to Hill's Tractor Sales and look at some new machines." Micah leaned against Grandpappy's leg, but Grandpappy just scratched his neck and said, "I don't know, Mr. Hill. Me and this trusty tractor been together 50 years, ever since my old plow horse died. We know each other real good. I'm not hankering to go looking at shiny new tractors." "No harm in looking," said Mr. Hill. Micah tugged a handful of Grandpappy's overalls. "Please, please?" Grandpappy looked down and smiled. "Well, now, maybe just a peek won't hurt that much." "You won't regret it, sir," said Mr. Hill, shaking Grandpappy's hand up and down like a pump handle. Hill's Tractor Sales covered half a block. Micah had never seen so many tractors in all one place. There were big ones, small ones, red ones, yellow ones, some with plows, some with buckets, some with forks, and some with diggers. Mr. Hill showed Grandpappy a big red tractor with a cab like a truck. "Got carpet in there," said Mr. Hill. "Got heating and air conditioning." "Mine's got air conditioning too," said Grandpappy. "When the air gets too fresh, I put on another jacket." "Look," said Mr. Hill, "stereo music." "I whistle," Grandpappy said. Mr. Hill showed them the big fancy-dancy engine, but Grandpappy was not interested. He said, "When my old tractor won't go, I fix it myself with a bit of wire. None of this electronic fiddle-faddle." Mr. Hill was not real pleased that Grandpappy did not want one of his shiny new tractors, but Mr. Hill was not a man to give up easy. "How much grass you reckon on sowing this spring for hay?" he asked. 20 acres, Grandpappy said. "Well, sir, I know that you are not a betting man, but I'll give a jelly donut for every acre if your tractor gets through the season." "If it doesn't..." "It will," said Grandpappy. "If it doesn't," said Mr. Hill, "you come back to Hill's Tractor Sales. That's all I ask." Come early spring, when they were setting up for plowing, Micah said, "You know, Grandpappy, this old tractor's sure hard to start." "Like me," said Grandpappy. "I'm hard to start when it's cold and damp." "Sure is rusty," Micah said. "I know how that feels. My knees got so much rust, some days they need an oil can." Then Grandpappy looked at Micah. "Boy, you aren't trying to sweet-talk me into buying a new tractor?" Micah quickly shook his head. "Good, 'cause this is my old friend, and friends don't let each other down. You remember that." The ground was still cold when Grandpappy plowed those 20 acres. The tractor crawled along, chugga, 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 like an old fishing boat, brown waves curling up behind the plow. Seagulls followed, looking for bugs and worms. Plowing took most of 3 days, but when Grandpappy finished, the field was a strong brown sea with waves as straight as ruler lines. Grandpappy stuffed a sack with straw because the seat cushion was worn out. "We got a long way to go yet," he said. The lumpy earth was smoothed out, and the steel blades of the harrows cut up the soil nice and fine, ready for sowing. Then Micah helped Grandpappy with the seed drill. Grass seed went in the small hopper, fertilizer went in the big one. Chugga, chugga, chugga. Micah hung on the fence and watched as the rusty old tractor pulled the seed drill round and round. Grass seed and grass food dropped into little furrows. Now it's up to Mother Earth, Grandpappy said. The sun shone, warm spring rains fell, and green leaves sprouted on the poplar trees. Grandpappy, Grandpappy, come and see. Sure enough, the field was showing rows of new grass as fine and soft as a baby's hair. The rest of spring came through at a gallop. There were tadpoles in the creek and birds' nests in the barn. The grass in the field grew tall and thick. Roses bloomed, strawberries ripened. Grandpappy dug his first crop of new potatoes. Now the grass was as high as the bib of Micah's overalls. Mr. Hill paid a visit. Good crop of hay, he said. But I tell you plain and simple, no way is that tractor going to tow a hay baler. It just don't have the horsepower. Now is the time to think about a new model. What do you say? Grandpappy gave a slow, soft smile. I say I'm mighty partial to jelly donuts. The first run of fine weather, Grandpappy sharpened the blades of the old mower. Micah helped him bolt the mower onto the tractor. Chugga, chugga, chugga. As the tractor went by, the tall grass fell and lay flat on the ground. In a couple of days, said Grandpappy, we'll turn it with the hay rake to help it dry. The morning Grandpappy got out the baler, the weather forecast changed. Thunderstorms tomorrow, Grandpappy said. Wet hay is good for nothing hay. We've got to get ourselves cracking. What if the tractor breaks down? Grandpappy shrugged. We lose 20 acres of hay and 20 jelly donuts. Worse things have happened, but I tell you now, boy, real friends are there when you need them, and my old tractor won't break down. Mr. Hill was part ways right. The tractor was not big enough for the baler, but Grandpappy, he talked to it like it was his favorite horse. He called it Old Partner and whistled songs to it, and that Rusty Trusty Tractor shuddered across the field, dragging the big baling machine. Sweet-smelling grass got scooped up, rolled, and tied, and spat out again in hay bales weighing 500 pounds. The rolls fell down with a thump that shook the earth under Micah's feet. The storm broke that evening. Rain came out of the sky like water from a fire hose, but every bit of hay was wrapped in bales, snug and dry. Micah and Grandpappy were in the kitchen cooking up some corn chowder when the screen door rattled. They found Mr. Hill on the porch, as wet as a new caught catfish, and carrying a box of jelly donuts. I hereby declare you the winner, Mr. Hill said to Grandpappy, though I don't know how you did it with that antique bucket of rust. Wang-a-dang, sir, you got more good luck than a hound dog in a butcher shop. Mr. Hill said goodnight and went off into the rain, but before Grandpappy and Micah had gotten to taste the first donuts, that tractor man was back on the porch, wetter now than a heap of catfish, his feet dirty up to his knees. He wiped the water out of his face. Excuse me, seems like I got a problem. My car, it's stuck in the mud. Micah looked at Grandpappy and waited. Grandpappy was real polite. No problem, Mr. Hill. Me and my grandson and my old tractor will get you out in no time at all. And would you believe it? As cold and damp as it was, that rusty, trusty old tractor started up first try. In our book, Grandpappy's tractor was used to make round bales with the baling machine. Here's a new video of our tractor making big bales. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Hi everybody, it's Farmer Sara again. And in our story today, the Rusty Trusty Tractor took hay and made it into bales for the cows. Today, we're making bales on our farm, but these bales are making bedding for our cows. Our first tractor is taking the corn stalks and cutting it up into even smaller pieces to get ready for our cows. That's my mom, Janet, that just read you the story, driving that tractor right in front of you. So let's talk about these corn stalks. The corn stalks have already had the corn taken away from them, and they've actually had a few months to dry out. What we've done with that first tractor is cut all those corn stalks apart. You can see there are some bigger pieces, that was the stalk of the plant, and then there are some smaller pieces. Those are from the leaves. We take all of these pieces and make it into bedding. Look, when I squeeze it, it's nice and squishy for the cows to lay on. They love getting to eat the corn, and they love being able to use this for their bedding. After my mom has all the pieces of corn chopped up, now it's my dad's turn to come with the baler. He follows the same path that my mom just drove with the baler, and inside of that machine, it's wrapping up all of that corn to make a big round bale. When the time is right and that machine is full, it's time for the bale to come out. He stops his tractor, the bale spins inside, and it's actually taking twine and wrapping it around to keep the bales all in one piece. When the machine is done with its job, then open up the back, and it is time to let that bale come out. The bale rolls out on its own, and then he's ready to keep driving and make even more bales for our cows to sleep on and to take their breaks on when they're busy making milk for you to buy at the grocery store. If we take a closer look at this bale, you'll see it spins around and around and around. When we take the twine off, it'll uncurl in the other direction, and all that bedding will spread out for our cows. So you might be wondering, how big is this bale really? Well, you can see one over my shoulder, and you can see this one right behind me. I'm 5 feet 6 inches tall, and you can see when I slide my hand over, that's about how tall the bale is. It's really tall, it's really heavy, and it's a lot of work to make this kind of bedding for the cows on our farm. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.